Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Washington, D.C., it's Quintessential Listening, Poetry Online Radio. Now, here's your host, Dr. Michael Anthony Ingram.
Hello, and welcome to the program. My very special guest today is Jude Hunkar Anderson. Jude, are you with me?
Hello, Michael. Yes, I am. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm quite well, and yourself?
Very well, indeed. Thank goodness.
I am so glad that you're here, that we were able to make this international connection.
Absolutely. Great to be here.
All right, well, let's begin this journey. What, as you think about it, what exactly is poetry? What is poetry?
So to me, poetry is an expression of art through words. It is something that helps me express myself in ways that I wouldn't normally do with using words.
I like that. Talk a little bit more about that. That it helps you express yourself and accept yourself in ways that you wouldn't ordinarily do. Tell me more about that.
So I've always kind of had a lot of messages to share, a lot of emotions and feelings to share with people, with friends, with family. And I think poetry helps me do that in a way that people will read it, people will understand it, people will take something away from it. I think once you just talk to people, when you just talk to people and when you just, try and explain something, it's much harder for people to listen and understand and to not take things as lectures as such. And I think through poetry, you can really express a message that you want to put across, and tell people things that they want to hear, but they don't always hear from others.
Oh, very nice. I like that. Well, let me ask this question, which is qualitatively different. Why do you think it's important? Why is poetry important?
To me, poetry is important because it helps me share my thoughts and feelings with people, with the world. And I hope that it is important for people because they're searching for answers or because they want to feel something different or understand things in a different way. I try to make things and make look in light that people might not see in my poetry. So messages that come through in my poetry, I hope are understood in a way how I mean them, which is come across telling people, empowering people, uplift their spirits, and to guide and help people go through tough situations.
Very nice. Please share a poem.
Okay. Couldn't wait for you to ask me for that. I actually have. I would like to start with the first poem that I wrote, which is actually called A Poem, which might help you understand a little bit what I think a poem and poetry is. And it goes like this. A poem is where everything goes, where art is your essence and energy flows. A poem is feelings, life's ups and downs. It's silence and chatter, but also loud sounds. A poem is pure, the poet's heart. It is food for the soul, where words become art. See it, believe it, feel it. Read a poem and be prepared to be it. And that's the end of the poem there. So this is something I wrote because, thank you. This is something I wrote because a lot of people ask me before, what is a poem? What does poetry mean to you? So I thought it's almost like a lift pitch, isn't it? When you get into a lift and someone says, what do you do? And you've got about 2 seconds to quickly tell them what it is you do. So I thought I'd write because when somebody signs up on my page on Facebook, and they ask themselves, so what does she do? What is it she does? This kind of sums it up in a few lines.
Oh, very nice. Please share another.
Okay. So the next one I would like to share with you is actually one of my first poems that I wrote for all the women of this world. It's a very, very special one. It's actually, I think, my second poem that I ever wrote. And the very first one I wrote to empower women all across the globe. And it's called That Girl. That girl. A long, long time ago, a day like any other, a baby girl was born, special like her mother. She opened her eyes to take the world in, while cuddling up to her mother's bare skin. Her life began and love filled her heart, and she didn't know how things would set her apart. Her childhood was one to which we can all relate, where each day she'd blindly follow her fate, where joy and pain came hand in hand, but it never broke her. She fought without end. She grew and grew and grew some more into a beautiful girl she chose to adore. That girl who was strong and brave, who wasn't afraid of making a mistake, who would fall hard fighting her corner, but then she'd rise wiser and stronger. The mother, the daughter, the sister, the friend, who she was, she would never pretend. That girl who would conquer worlds and stop wars, the one with the strong heart that opened all doors. And that girl who is very special indeed is the girl we all know and have and need. That girl is you, and she is also me. She's every woman that was, is, and will ever be. Girl and woman, please hear me now. Never forget the who, the what, and the how. That's that girl. But how did you like that, Michael?
I like that a lot. That is extremely powerful and uplifting.
Thank you. Thank you.
And uplifting. I really like that. As you think about the body of your work, what are some of the predominant themes of your work?
I definitely have quite a few pieces that are addressed to women or about struggles of us women. I do believe that this society that we live in is very, very harsh and expects a lot from us women, and creates kind of a picture where we have to be the perfect mom, the perfect friend, the perfect wife, the perfect at our job, and we have the world has a very high expectation of us women. And I think it's very, very easy to forget just how amazing and how incredible we are and what we're capable of. So, a lot of my poems are aimed at women to show them just exactly how incredible they are and how beautiful they are and how much they're capable of. And no matter how low the situation or their life is, there is always a way out. And I think that's one of my main subjects. But saying that, there's a lot of poems that I write which just come to me. For example, there's a program on the TV about working women back in the day in the UK, and it's called Harlots. It's a series. And I watched 10 minutes of it, and suddenly it just came to me how she must be feeling having to do this because her mother is making her into a working girl, and it's not her choice. And so I wrote a poem about that. I tend to write poems about, feelings. I've written 3 of them about this pandemic situation that we're in. I wrote one about a story about a black slave and a white maiden that fell in love completely, and so that's more of a story. So it's a lot of different kind of subjects that I use, different things that inspire me. But the most important thing to me is, first of all, to always find rhyme, because I think with rhyme everything flows so much better, and also to have an uplifting finish, to empower and to give kind of a sense of, you can do this, you're good enough.
Very nice, very nice. People have different views on rhymes. Tell me more about why you chose to rhyme, or why you choose to rhyme.
To me, a poem is just something that rhymes. It's just me. I just find the message is more powerful. I find that it sounds better. And I find myself when I read poems, which actually you'll be very surprised, I don't read many poems at all, but when I do stumble upon a few, I do find that the rhyming ones just touch me better. Kind of, I understand them more and I let them in more.
Well, as you think about writing a poem, how does a poem begin for you? With an idea, a form, or an image?
So, most of the time, it starts with either the title that just comes into my head, so I want to write about this, or it comes with a couple of, say the first verse, or the first, couple of lines that just come to me, and then I nudge them down. And then it kind of goes from there, and it always tends to have, a story, and it always tends to have something that is a message, but it always has a very uplifting and positive ending, and an empowering kind of a message at the end.
Please share another piece of your work.
Okay. The next one I'd like to share is actually the latest one that I wrote, which is, it came to me just as we were finishing the last year, which was quite tough, I think, for most of us. And it's all about, how we can look at this year in a different light. And it's called The Year Like No Other. The year 2020, what can I say? It brought many things, but mostly a new way. It conquered the world, it stopped wars, it took many lives and closed many doors. It broke what was meant to be broken and said many words that were before unspoken. It brought strength and a new meaning, a new perspective and true feeling. A year that I'll never forget, the one that came without regret. It was not good, it was not kind. It left broken pieces scattered behind. But it did not take all, it did not win. It left us united to fight thick and thin. So you, my brothers and sisters, my all, get back up strong and stand up tall. You are still here, don't you give up. No matter what, now you cannot stop. So here is to 2020, your year and mine. A year like no other that drew a fine line, that destroyed and took from so many, yet brought so much to a plenty. You make your story no matter what. It's your choice to gain or to get caught. So let me ask you, how did you do? How was 2020, the year like no other to you? Because the answer is never the end. It's so much more, but you can't pretend. And once more, find the positive, find the light, find the answers in your long lost sight. Make what seems the end your new beginning, the return of the you, happy and winning. Thank you, that was it. That was The Year Like No Other.
The Year Like No Other, and you are correct. It was truly a year like no other. Let's take a brief break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Right. Michael Anthony Ingram. I'm here with the fantastic Jude Hunkar Anderson. Jude, please give us another poem. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So the next one I'd like to share with you is about losing somebody that you really love, somebody that's close to you, and there's nothing you can do, obviously, because once somebody dies that you love, that's it. You're out of control. It's nothing that you can control. It's just you're left with the pain and how to deal with that. Goodbye, my love. She held his hand and said goodbye. As he took his last breath, she started to cry. She couldn't hold it back anymore. Months of pain came all at once in a roar. She hit the floor hard as she fell, and the tears weren't stopping. She was in hell. Thoughts of pain, fear, and worry followed, and a dark emptiness leaving her hollow. The months that followed by were incredibly hard, having to fight for life that had lost its magic and spark. She carried on and on and on, waiting and waiting for that new dawn. That morning came out of the blue. She woke and instantly she knew. That day was different. The light has returned and colors started to fill her whole world. Hope came again to mend her broken heart, so it began to heal to allow a fresh start. She heard the birds outside chirping again, and as she smiled, she remembered her man. Each day she felt better and stronger, and the hollow feelings stayed no longer. Memories of him were joyful once more. Happiness and love had won against this war. She had a long, long way to go yet, but she knew now that she was finally back. And that was Goodbye, My Love.
Goodbye, my love.
Oh, what did you think of that one? I got a bit emotional. I don't know if you heard my voice.
Well, that's the thing about it. Poetry brings up, as we both know, emotions. Well, let me ask you this question, because it's a perfect segue into this question. Do you think that a person could be a poet if they don't feel emotions very well?
That's a good question. I mean, for me, that's exactly what brought poetry out of me. You know, last April is emotions and feelings, and really ones as well. And you know, really kind of broke the pandemic. I'm not gonna lie, completely broke me. And I never forget the day when the WHO had a press conference and announced, you know, that we are looking at the pandemic. And the director stood there on TV, and I will never forget this line that he said was, "This is going to either make you or it's going to break you." And I stood there listening to this, completely frightened, as all of us were. And I kept thinking, you know, I am not going to let this break me. This is going to make me. But before I actually got to the point where I felt that I was ready to, you know, find myself again, I had to be completely broken. So the deep emotions I felt at that point I was so low that I've never felt so low in my life. And that's what started this whole process. You know, I wrote my first poem, and from then onwards, it slowly but surely kind of built me back up, and everything that I had inside me, you know, that was the fear, the worry, the scared little girl, you know, everything, the freedom was gone, but it all came out through poetry. So I think you have to have really quite deep emotions and express yourself, you know, in a really kind of, you know, full of feelings, a way that's peaceful of feelings. So I'm not sure. I would say for sure that no, you can't be, but I think in my experience, you need to have quite deep feelings to write poetry.
Now, let me ask this question, and I want it to be clear here. Are you sharing that you started writing poetry during the pandemic?
Yes. Last April.
Wow. I would have thought, to be quite honest, that you had been writing forever.
No, absolutely not. No, I found this new talent of mine in April last year, and I never looked back. I know it is. It is. It's crazy to me as well. Trust me. And it's how quickly they come as well, you know, and how easily once it starts. I mean, most of them just flows. There are some that I start and then I just have to pause and come back to it. But there's so much coming out of me, and it's lovely. It's really nice. So yeah, I am proud of myself.
Yes, I can understand. Well, let me ask this question: do you have any writing influences? I mean, were there any poets out there that you were like, wow, if I could write like him or her?
No,
I mean, any writing
I
influences?
actually don't. I don't really read poetry. I I don't have an inspiration. I don't know. It's really strange, and I kind of find my own style of writing without any influence. I don't really. I always think, if you try to aspire to be someone else or like someone else, it kind of prevents you from really finding your own 2 feet. So
Hmm.
I try. No, I don't. It's not that I try not to read poetry, but I'm not really interested. Not even that. That's not the word. I haven't really read any other poetry in order for me to find the way I write it. If you know what I mean. And I think now I'm at a stage where I am actually starting to think, just to kind of expand my repertoire a little bit and vary my work. Maybe I should start reading other poets as well.
Well, I think that that's potentially a great idea just for the experience of it, to see what other
Yeah.
people are writing about. I mean, I think it's
Mm.
sometimes it's really important to just have a different point of reference than your own
Yeah.
on some occasions.
Yeah.
So I can understand that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree. I know.
Poets
Thank you.
hail from all over the world. Where do you hail from? Where's your hometown? Where's your home village?
So I'm from a very, very small village in the middle of nowhere in Hungary called Kéket. Hungary is in Europe. And Kéket is a very rural village. It is like going back in time. It's lovely. It's in a beautiful valley. It's the greenery around is gorgeous. Most of the houses are still just on one level, so no, little bungalow style. So there's only a couple of houses that have more than one level, and it's beautiful, absolutely.
Now, how has hailing from your hometown, your home village, how has that impacted your work as a poet?
It's really grounding me, wherever I go, whatever I achieve in life, and no matter how far I get, I always, always know that without my family, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am, and they are my heart, and I am so grateful for everything, my life, and my personality and everything that they kind of instilled in me. But mostly the love, that I got from them, because I think that's what
Hmm.
teaches you everything, when you have pure love in your life.
Yes, yes, I agree
Yeah.
100%. Please share another poem.
Okay, the next one I'm going to share with you is another recent one that I wrote, and it was actually inspired by a really beautiful quote from R.M. Drake. R.M. Drake writes some fantastic quotes, and obviously his quotes are they don't rhyme. So I saw one of the quotes and I was really inspired. So I thought, why not turn it into a poem? And it's called "I Hope You Know." I hope you realize how beautiful you are, and how, without trying, you shine like a star. I hope you realize what it is you truly deserve, with all your might and your body's flow and curve. I hope you realize you are your own healer, and that nobody but you are your own dealer. I hope that you know you can overcome anything and come out a better and a stronger something. I hope you realize what you're really made of, and all that you are is built on nothing but love. Do you really know you? What do you see? Because I know you and what you might not see. I see you beautiful. I see your light. I see everything that is such a sight. I hope you know you have so much to grow. A year ahead where you will again find your glow. No matter the who, the what, when, nor the how, what is it you, the here and the now? Take all the time you need, but mend you first. Pick up the pieces, you're through the worst. Be patient and determined, loving and kind. Let your heart lead the way along your strong mind. Fight for you and all you love, fight until the end. And true meaning you will find in every minute spent. I see your heart and strong mind. I see your soul. I see your inner beauty that makes you truly whole. I see the survivor, I see the warrior indeed, fulfilling slowly all her want and need. So embrace the beauty that stands before you. Love her, forgive her, she will know what to do. I hope that you know now how beautiful you are and how you, without trying, shine like a star. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's really interesting to actually write the poem and obviously read it back to yourself. But then when you read it out, you just feel every word. Like I feel every word, and it's wow, yeah.
Well, what is the difference between your speaking voice and your writing voice? I know you're still developing your speaking voice and your writing voice, but can you notice a difference at this point?
So I always try to, when I write my poems, I always read them out loud to myself because I always think it has to sound right. It has to sound the way I want it to sound written, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So when I'm writing it now, or when I'm reading it to you now, it does sound like I'm actually more proud hearing it than when I'm just writing it and reading it to myself, because I know that others are listening, and I hope they get the message that I'm trying to send.
And the message that you're trying to send is what? What do you want people to encounter when a person encounters your poem? What do you want them to walk away with?
I want them to walk away with knowing how amazing they are, how beautiful they are, how we're all in the same boat in different ways, but we are, and how we can do this, and we can fight, and we can change our situations, and we can achieve what we want, and we can fight and not give up. And it's trying to find the positive, I guess, in even every negative. It's there. You just got to find it. But that's what I try and do. I try to tell people what they don't really hear very often, that they are amazing.
Yes. Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. All poets have several words that come up over and over and over again. Words or sentences that they just can't help but use in their work. What are 3 of your absolute favorite words to use?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure, actually. I guess fight is definitely one.
Okay.
Fight and light and rhyme as well. There you go. Definitely love. I love the word love. But I'm not quite sure. I think I should go through all my poems and I like repeating words sometimes as well, to kind of emphasize what you want to say. And I also like the word star. Shine like a star, you are a star. Yeah.
All right. Very nice, very nice. Please share another poem.
I'm just trying to think what I should share with you next. Okay. So the next one I'm going to share is actually like a story. It's more like a story, and it's I don't know how this came to me, to be honest. This actually came to me in a way that the first verse just came. So the first few lines just came, and an image in my head of this beautiful woman standing in a garden in the dark, and it kind of flew from there. And I never realized where it's going to take me until I finished it. And it goes like this: yin and yang. The moon was shining bright. She was cold. Apart from her nightie, she wore a cardigan with buttons of gold. She waited until the lights went out, then into the forest she ran, her bare feet silently running, leading her to her amazing man. His skin was black, hers white as milk, a yin and yang they were, so close yet worlds apart. He meant everything to her. She jumped into his arms, he embraced her once. It was a feeling like no other, felt almost like a trance. Everything else in their lives didn't mean a thing, only this love, pure and strong, that meant everything. Her husband was chosen by her parents. He was rich, angry, and cruel. She hated her life with him. In his eyes, she was a fool. Their secret love was forbidden, a white maiden and a slave. How could he not see what she saw, immense, so worthy and brave? With his gentle soul and rich mind, he stole her heart. and since that moment, nothing could keep them apart. She looked up scared as they heard the dog bark. She knew this was it. Here and now is their fresh start. She was ready, and so was he. No more hiding their love. Her husband walked up to them and took off his glove. He saw this, his heart first. He fell hard to the ground. Her face was covered in tears, but she didn't make a sound. She was up next, her heart beating fast, but more than ready for what was coming at last. The blade was hard and cold. Her heart finally stopped. Lifeless, her body hit the ground beside the only man she ever loved. But this wasn't the end. They were finally freed from a life of misery, cruelty, and greed. Their souls deeply connected, flying into the distance, leaving their bodies behind, discovering their new existence. Love conquers all, just like they always say. For them it brought freedom, a new dawn, and a new day. They were finally together, no games, no pretending. The world was their oyster, and their love never ending. Yin and yang. Oh, that felt really good, actually. That's, I never read that one properly out loud to anyone. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was perfect. Perfect recitation.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, writers and poets write for a myriad of reasons. Some write primarily to speak a message to their audience. Others write because to stay silent is not an option. Why do you write?
So I've always kind of tried to find a way to, connect with people, to share my feelings and how I see things and, how I deal with struggles and trauma. And I think this gives me that way, without trying to interfere in their lives or without trying to kind of lecture. It is my way to send a message that otherwise they would not have heard or wouldn't hear. And I think this is what it is for me. This is why I write. And there's so much more that I want to write about, or even there's so much more in progress already. But yeah, this is it for me.
All right, very nice. Let's take a brief break and we'll be right back. We are back. This has been a great program so far. Just talking to Jude and just having an opportunity to listen to some beautiful, beautiful poetry. Thank you, Jude, so much for sharing your work with us.
You're welcome. I'm honored. Thanks for having me.
What creative mean to you? Being creative mean to you? What does it mean to be creative?
I think creative is something you can find many ways to express your creativity. You can do it through painting, music, poetry, and I've always found myself, struggling to find my creativity and my talent. And it just kind of came, I guess, in April. I was a late bloomer. But I feel like I'm home, and I'm very, very pleased to have come into my own and find my creativity.
What is a measure of success as a poet?
A measure of success is I guess I would love the next step, which would be, to get a book published. Which I have actually submitted some work for consideration. So I'm just waiting to hear back. from a UK publisher, but I have a very specific idea, which people might not want, or publishers might not want, which I think is in modern poetry. You don't really want to see a black and white book of words, and I do feel that my poetry is quite modern, so I would really love a poetry book published with illustrations of my poems, with color and other quotes around it. It's almost like, I think a lot of people love at the moment kind of listening to, self-growth books and self-growth, kind of listening to people that will train you in self-growth. So I would love something to approach my poetry like that, and not just a black and white book, I guess, poetry book like they used to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell me about Barefoot Blonde Poetry.
Yep, that is my page. It's very strange, when I started writing poetry, I wanted to create a page on Facebook and Instagram, and I was looking for a really catchy name. I didn't just want Jude's poems, or didn't just want something. I wanted a name that is catchy, that is, that I relate to, that, will stick into people's minds. And I just literally very simply and boringly went online and put in, poetry page ideas for name, pages, name ideas for pages. And I came across Barefoot Blonde, and I thought, that is the one. I don't know. I just saw it, and I instantly knew that's the one. I loved it. I just loved the whole Barefoot Blonde poetry, the flow of it. So that's what became my poetry page name on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Please share another poem for us, please.
Okay. The next poem I'd like to share is a very important one, because it was inspired by the most important woman in my life, which is my mother, who is, means the world to me. And I truly feel that, having known some people that don't really have the relationship or the love between them and their mothers, something that I would love to kind of open people's eyes up to, how incredible our mothers are, and how much they are worth, and how much they deserve from us, and how much it means to have their love, and their unconditional love. A mother. A mother is love. A mother is kind. A mother would never leave you behind. A mother is strong, stands proud and tall. Even when she's broken, she'll catch you when you fall. A mother makes decisions that are very hard indeed. A mother endures pain and worry, but gives you all you need. A mother is braver than brave and will always fight. She will guide you in darkness when you have no sight. She will give you all that she can. She will say all that is unspoken. A mother who does way more than you'll ever know, who has this never-fading, beautiful, bright glow. She who would give her life for yours, who helps you open even the heaviest doors. She who is selfless in every act and word, the one who is a miracle yet often unheard. The mother, the woman who gave life to us all, who devoted her body, her life, and her soul. The mother, the beautiful, inside and out, who will always believe in you without any doubt. So celebrate her every chance you get. Show her the love she'll never forget. Because without her body, her heart, and her soul, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be whole. Thank you.
She sounds like my mother.
Oh.
It was very, very touching. Thank you so much for sharing it. It really made me think of my mom.
I know. They are special, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And if you're fortunate to have a good one, you're really blessed.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So much is happening in the world, Jude. So much is happening all around us with the pandemic, with all these issues that we face throughout society. What do you see as being the role of a poet in modern day society?
I think it's to give hope, to bring color back, to actually tell you that it's okay, we'll be okay, and no matter what, and no matter how bad everything seems, we can find the positive, because there is positive, and this year was one of the hardest for my family and for myself in person. But I didn't leave it there, I did not allow it to rule me. I didn't allow it to break, I allowed it to break me, but I didn't allow it to just, for myself, to stay where I was broken. I built up the pieces, I picked everything up, and I fought, I carried on. And I think that's what a poet should do this time, and that's why I find it really difficult to read and to understand dark poetry, because, it's, of course, an expression of feelings for some people. But to write and kind of express, feelings of darkness and hatred, and it's such a difficult thing for me to understand, because for me a poem and poetry is all about empowerment and positivity and hope. So that's what I believe a poet should do, and that's, I hope, what I do.
All right. Well, share another work with us.
Okay, so this one actually had the most amount of interest on social media, and I think a lot of women really related to this poem. And it's about a girl who feels everybody's pain, and all she wants to do is help. But people don't get it. People are so afraid of her positivity and her everything that's so positive about her, and they misunderstand it and they run a mile, which I think in this society happens a lot. And it's called She is Fire. She is too much. She goes behind her back, they say. She's too kind. She's too caring. She's too loving, they say. She's too excited. She's too giving. She's too honest, they say. She says and does things we'd never do or say. She's too genuine. She's too nice. She's too full on, they say. She's too positive. She's too hopeful. She's too strong, they say. She's too brave. She's too helpful. She's just too real, they say. We aren't like her. We like to pretend, and certainly do not want to be her friend. When the positive is so misunderstood, when they just don't see what they should. She's a girl who feels everyone's pain, who wants to help and doesn't seek to gain. She brings light and a helping hand. She fights for ones in need without end. You don't see this, you don't understand, and you do not take her helping hand. She's not much or full on or wrong. She does not see you weak in you, only strong. But pride is a poison, and it rules most, leaving behind all that is lost. She speaks the truth that is hard to hear, but facing it brings you nothing but fear. And you, positive and kind, making a choice that leaves only you behind. She comes and gives you the key to the door that leads to abundance, freedom, and more. The key that she gives you, the change that you need, the life you deserve, and your dreams indeed. But you don't believe her. You don't take the key. You say no to finally being happy and free. The girl that says things nobody dares, the one getting the whispers and stares. And then she's gone. She just walks away. She did all she could, but it had to be your way. Her only mission was your happiness and desire. But she's way too much for you after all. She is fire. Thank you. That's what
fire.
She's fire. She's fire. Yes. And actually, there's a very interesting. The way this poem was named is by a beautiful soul who runs this amazing Facebook page called She's Fire, and she inspired me to write this. And I think a lot of women relate to this, myself included, to kind of feel misunderstood, in a way.
Yes. I didn't ask you whether you came from a literary background or not. What did you learn growing up about writing?
I did do, well, not English, obviously, but Hungarian literature in school. But we didn't learn poetry. We learned more about kind of acting and, kind of a literature side of it. But no, I don't really come from a background. And afterwards, I did try to get into acting school, which I didn't. In Hungary, it's very difficult. So I kind of just came to England, be an au pair in 2000. And my life went from there, really. But I've always kind of, been looking for this one thing, the one thing that I will love doing. I've never struggled with work. I've always had good jobs and earned good money. But I've always missed that one thing, the one thing
that one thing.
That one thing, yes, which I now have. So it feels really good.
Wow, that is so powerful, Jude. Just being able to find that one thing that motivates you, that wants to help you get up every morning, that provides you with an opportunity or an outlet to express yourself. That is extremely powerful to find. Some people never find that. They never find it.
Yes, I know, and it took me a long time, but it's really fulfilling. It's a great feeling. It's something that I feel I'm really proud of, and it's something that my children are. I can just stand in front of them, and like tonight they were so excited, to know that their mommy's going to be on, and they're listening upstairs actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, they
nice.
are, and and my little girl Lila, who's 8, she reads out my. I actually have a couple of children's poems now, which I started writing, and she has read a couple of them out on social media, and she's amazing. She reads it really beautifully.
Well, tell us about your work on social media. How did that evolve?
Well, I find it quite tough actually, to get exposure. I'm not, I obviously you invite your own friends who a lot of them don't really join or not sure that it's you. So and then it starts like that, and then it's just kind of people sharing your work, But I think a lot of times people read it and they love it, but they don't forget to tick a like or comment or anything. So it's a difficult one. I'm not sure. I'm not big on social media either, which I think is probably not a good thing.
Right. Yes.
So it's just trying to maintain, I guess, posting daily, which is tough because if you don't have a poem to post, you can't really post every day or post a poem, every day because you don't have a new poem every day. So I try to just find, motivational posts when I have a poem to share.
Yes. Now, are you involved in any of the poetry groups? A lot of times there's an opportunity for you to meet other poets.
Yes, I am on a couple of them, Poet Sanctuary and another one on Facebook, which I've actually even taken part in a competition last year, not long after.
Oh wow, very nice.
Yeah, which was really interesting. It was 5 days, and you were given a subject in the morning, and you had to write something by the evening. So it was really difficult because it was all negative: corruption, hope against hope. It was money. So yeah, just 5 subjects, or racism was another one. So 5 really difficult subjects. Obviously, I love writing about positive stuff, but I managed to do all 5, and I got a certificate. So that was something I'm quite proud of.
Oh, very nice.
I actually have, I do have one of the pieces. If you want me to read it out.
Yes. Yes, please share it.
Yes, I will. It's called Money Rules. It's about corruption. Money rules. What do we do if nothing is enough? When money and power makes many lives tough. Where corruption rules and the bad seem to win. Where things happen that bring a crawl to your skin. Where morality is gone and violence lives. Where trust is fake and nobody gives. A world neglected, a world simply used by the people who forgot respect and only abused. where money is everything, where money is king, and it takes while bringing nothing, where pledges are meaningless and all have their price, where loyalty is enough and it's easy to choose self-sacrifice. Where did it all go so horribly wrong? How did humanity forget where we belong? Change has to come. The world needs to heal, and the people need to relearn how to love and feel. Do your bit, do it now, and stop taking bow after bow. All you can do is change who you are and once again shine as bright as a star. And that was my rules. So that was something I wrote.
You write every day? You write every day?
No, not every day. No, it kind of has, the inspiration has to come. But when I do write, I tend to write something complete. So I tend to kind of either start something or restart something that I've started, which stopped doing, and then I sit down until I finish it. Or I have a new idea and it comes and it's literally within 15 minutes to half an hour, it's done.
You know, some poets claim that a poem is like a living creature. Once it's out of their system, there's not much you can do to it to correct it or improve it, while others edit meticulously, not leaving very much of the original draft poem. What is your take on it?
I don't agree, because I write my poems and then I tend to send it to my so I always write it on my notes on my phone because it's just handy,
okay.
you know. And then I forward it to my computer, and then when I transfer it onto a PDF, I tend to read through it again, and I read it out loud to ensure that it's exactly what I want to say, and it sounds exactly perfect, and every comma is where it's supposed to be. So I don't agree with that. I think it comes out of you, and then you need to reread it. And if you reread it, you will know if it needs amendment or not, but it certainly can be amended.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some people really, really, really focus on that, the importance of it being able to be amended. I understand that. I really, really do. Because things change. Your thoughts change. I mean, you may be feeling one way in the morning and a different way in the afternoon. And as you're writing that poem, it may change in terms of your process. So that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Please share another poem. We're almost out of time, but please share another poem.
Okay. Well, I'm going to finish with love. How about that? I think it's a lovely subject. And it's something that I've always wanted to kind of express to people, how I see love. And what it is to me is different to most people about love. Love. Love is the one emotion we are born to receive. It isn't taught or created, and it's with us until we leave. Love is pure, selfless, and kind. It forgives all and guides decisions of the mind. Love is unconditional, constant, bright. It chooses always over darkness the light. Love is life, and life is love. Nothing else is more or above. Love unites, liberates, and creates. It conquers, and all fears it eliminates. Love is not a choice we consciously make. It magically happens, and it's never fake. Love is what makes us human. It's food for our soul, and nothing is greater. It's what makes us whole. Love with your heart, your soul, your body, and your all, and only then you'll be the greatest, standing proud and tall. And that was love.
Love.
Yeah.
What a great way to end the program. The power of love.
That's what I thought.
Power of love.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this one last question. When people hear your work, I'm sure they want more. What's next for you creatively as a poet?
I have many ideas and ways I want to go. I started writing children's poems now, which are, I think one way I'm definitely going to go. But to carry on, really, to maybe find another way, maybe start a YouTube channel and read my poems live. I think it's just to share with more and more people, as many people as I possibly can. Share the love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Share the love. Well, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today. It was a pleasant hour. I enjoyed listening to your work, and I wish you nothing but future success.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael, for having me. And if anybody would like to follow me on Facebook, it's Barefoot Blonde Poetry. On Instagram as well, barefoot_poetry barefoot_blonde_poetry. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. There's so much I'm excited about. And thank you for this opportunity. Really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you again. And to our listening audience, please tune in next week. Our special guest will be Shakira Croce. And until that time, be safe out there. It's a tough world some days, but it's a good world. But still, be safe. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You have just listened to the Quintessential Listening Poetry Online Radio Podcast with your host, Dr. Michael Anthony Ingram. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. And make sure to catch our next episode.